So we'll get started. Welcome to the Sunday program of ISKCON Portland. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, I have been instructed to speak today on the occasion of the Sunday program at ISKCON Portland. So, I will try to recite a verse from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and read Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport and share some notes that I have prepared from various writings of Srila Prabhupada. So please forgive any mistakes, and we will have some time for questions and corrections towards the end. So the verse that I wanted to speak or discuss today that I was reading recently about is the verse on death. Antakale chamameva, chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 5. And for those of you that may be or may not be familiar, we are doing this Bhagavad Gita class series, and we are on the 8th chapter in that series. And inspired by the 8th chapter, I have been spending some time reading this book called Death by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj. He is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj and is very instrumental in managing all the affairs in Sridham Mayapur. And a very, very sweet devotee, very gives classes in a very nice and sometimes very funny ways. So whenever I have had the opportunity to listen to him a few times, I've always relished it very much. So this was a book that I picked up in Sridham Mayapur long back when I was visiting, and it had just come out. So I had the fortune of getting it signed by Maharaj as well. So that was very nice. And this book has a lot of wonderful descriptions about various topics related to death. So it's a very deep topic, and especially a topic of interest and concern especially in these times today when we are hearing so much about death. There is not one day in the news that passes without reporting how many people are dead. And everybody is talking about so many people dead. And this, never has in my life been a time when the news was not reporting a regular count of how many people are dying every day. It's very, I think it has become normal. I have gotten used to it, but looking back, maybe once this is all over, after 5, 10 years, it will be very surprising that for so many months, every single day, the headline was how many people died today. And it will be probably remembered as a time of great death that has encompassed the world. Of course, people have been dying every day, but somehow the concern or the fear factor, and it has this topic has been magnified, and this topic has taken root in people's minds quite a lot more in these times, in these months, than any other time, at least that I remember. So all of these factors put together, I thought I'll try to read this book, incorporate some learnings that I got into the discussions on the eighth chapter, which is all about how to attain the Supreme. The title is Attaining the Supreme, and how to remember Krishna, how to leave this world remembering Krishna. So that's the essence of today's discussion. So we will start with reciting this verse, 8.5. It's a very famous verse, and I'll recite it a couple of times. And if other devotees would like to recite this as well, please do so. It'll encourage me and inspire me and everyone else as well. And is the audio still fine? Could anybody confirm, please?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
You want to share screen also?
I will be very soon. I'll share some verses. I think this verse is very in the everybody smarana. Everybody remembers this one. I think. Let's see. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshayah. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra sanshayah. Would anybody like to repeat? Let me share my screen so it becomes easier for everyone.
ये च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यत्प्रयाति समद्भाव नास्ति आत्यत्र संशयः.
Thank you.
Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram yapraiti samadbhavam yati nastaitra samshayam.
Wonderful. Very nice. Is that Shibani?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Very nice. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
All right.
Ante kale chamameva smaran mukpa kalevaram ye priyati samadbhavam yati nashti atra samshaya.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति स मद्भावं याति नास्ति अत्र संशयः.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay.
Mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nashtastas. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. Vidisha, I suppose that was Vidisha. Okay. All right. So we will read the synonyms. Antakale, at the end of life. Cha, also. Mam, me. Eva, certainly. Smaran, remembering. Muktva, quitting. Kalevaram, the body. Yah, he who. Prayati, goes. Sah, he. Madbhavam, my nature. Yati, achieves. Na, not. Asti, there is. Atra, here. Samshayaha, doubt. Translation. And whoever, at the end of his life, quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of pure. The word smarana, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree, tarorapi sahishnuna. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting the names of Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, so that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's a very, very important purport. Several things are mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada. First of all, what I noticed is that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is mentioned twice in the same purport. I think there's just one more verse in the whole of the Bhagavad Gita as it is purports where Srila Prabhupada has mentioned the Maha Mantra twice in the same purport. So that makes this purport very special and very unique. That Srila Prabhupada is stressing the remembrance. Srila Prabhupada says here, therefore one should constantly and incessantly chant the Maha Mantra. Constantly and incessantly. Is both constantly and incessantly are sort of like synonyms. And Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that constant chanting of the Maha Mantra should be occurring. So here Srila Prabhupada is stressing the point of practicing. One should practice Krishna consciousness. Twice Srila Prabhupada is saying here that remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional life. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life, not towards the end of life, but the very beginning of life. So this process of remembering and chanting and hearing is very, very important. And in this verse, the word smaranam is mentioned here. Lord Krishna is answering a question of Arjuna. Arjuna asks this question to Lord Krishna, how to remember you at the time of death. And first and large part of the 8th chapter is devoted to how to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Krishna not only speaks about the lifelong process of doing your duty as well as remembering Krishna, Maam Anusmara Yuddhacha, but also he is talking about what exactly to do at the moment of death, Manasa Chalena, and Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena, fixing the mind on the Lord at the time of death. But before going into those, answering the question of how to, Lord Krishna is emphasizing what to do. And here in this verse, Lord Krishna is saying that Antakale, at the end of one's life, one should smarana. One should smarana about who? Mam eva, certainly about me. Eva means certainly, Mam means me. So Lord Krishna is referring to himself. So Lord Krishna is saying that one should remember him at the time of death, at the time of leaving this body, muktva kalevaram. When one is getting mukti, mukti means exiting, not exiting the material world, but exiting the body, kalevaram. So when one is exiting the body at the time of death, antakale, one should smarana mam, one should remember me. And like this, if one does, then he yati, achieves matbhavam. He achieves my nature. And of this, there is no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt. Na asti atra sanshayaha. Na asti means does not exist. What does not exist? Sanshaya, doubt does not exist. So Lord Krishna is emphasizing this point here. Nasti atra sanshaya. That of this there is no doubt. He's at few points in several verses, and in few of the verses he is mentioning of this there is no doubt. Or in all those verses, Lord Krishna is, those verses where he emphasizes such things are very important, because whenever we are talking to someone as well, when we emphasize, mark my words, we say, or listen carefully, or does that make sense? Or when we, in English language also, we say these things, which means that whatever we have just said, or we are about to say, when you say, mark my words, or listen carefully, or something like that, means that next sentence or the previous sentence is very important. So here also Lord Krishna is saying the same thing. Na asti atra sanchayaha. So this makes this verse very important. So Lord Krishna is emphasizing the aspect of smarana, of remembering the Lord. So at the time of death, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So at the time of death, all our death is not a very pleasant experience. For devotees who have spent their lives remembering Krishna, death is a invitation, is a gateway to go to the spiritual world. And they welcome that moment when they can leave this place of misery, this place of separation from Krishna, and go back to Krishna. And for those who have not practiced Krishna consciousness, who don't care about Krishna, who have not thought about Krishna or thought about the Supreme Father, the loving Father, for them, death is a very painful experience. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned this more than once. I remember one of the places where Srila Prabhupada mentions this is during the passing of Dhruva Maharaj. He mentions in the purport this example of a cat. When a cat is trying to catch the kitten with its teeth, the kitten welcomes it. It wants to be caught by the cat because it's very pleasurable for the kitten, because the cat is the mother of the kitten. But for the mouse, he does not want to be caught by the same cat, because for the mouse, if the cat catches the mouse, then it is death. It's very, very painful, very unpleasant, very inconvenient for the mouse. So in the same way, for devotees of Lord Krishna and for those who have rejected Lord Krishna, the experience of the same death is very, very different. So remembering the Lord at the time of death is only possible when we have practiced Krishna consciousness. And when we have practiced Krishna consciousness, we are looking forward to getting reunited with our Supreme Father at the time of death. So at the time of death, since it's not such a pleasant experience, the focus goes back to our own self, to the thing that we care the most. All our other faculties like seeing, hearing, listening, speaking, they start going away one by one. The last faculty to leave is the faculty in our body of remembering. And sometimes that also goes away before one dies. But among the ones to leave, the last one is the faculty of remembering. And therefore, remembering is indicated here as the aspect as the faculty to use to focus on Krishna, remembering, not speaking about Krishna, not hearing about Krishna, but just remembering Krishna at the time of death is very, very important. So for somebody like me who has spent or who is spending his life away from or not thinking about Krishna as much as one should, at the time of death, it is mentioned in by various acharyas, in the various scriptures, in the speakings of devotees and acharyas, that the thought of Krishna or God is very, very hard to come by. And the only way that one can think of Krishna is by practice. And that's why we mentioned, or I showed in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned the aspect of practice. So whatever we have practiced, the next verse says, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam. Whatever we think at the time of death, that nature we attain. But if we were to extrapolate that verse a little bit, whatever we have thought all during our life, that is what we will remember at the time of death. And when we remember that at the time of death, that's the nature we will attain after death. So it's therefore very important to make sure what we are remembering during our life, because that is the one that will cause us to remember, that will lead to our remembrance at the time of death. So if we remembered something about our family, about just something at the time of death or during our life, that's what we will end up remembering at death. So there is this wonderful story at a very material level, but very nicely kind of shows how we have lived our life can shape our moment of death. Have any of you watched this? It's a movie. It's a Hollywood movie called Citizen Kane. Has anybody watched it? It's from the 1940s.
I've seen it.
Okay, wonderful. Anybody else? Okay, so
What is the name of the movie, Prabhuji, you mentioned?
Citizen Kane. Citizen as in like citizen of a country, citizen. Kane, Kane.
I haven't watched, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's a very old black and white movie, you know, and it's from the 1940s. And this whole movie revolves is about a very, very rich person called Charles Kane. And the movie starts off with this person, and he's the richest person in the whole world. And the movie starts off with this person lying on his deathbed. And it is shown that he's surrounded by his friends and relatives and whoever. And when he dies, he utters the word rosebud. And then he dies. So that's his last words, his last thought, rosebud, Rosebud, rosebud. And everybody's puzzled. What does this mean, rosebud? And he's the world's richest man. And everybody's trying to understand because, you know, if such an important person is speaking this word as the last word of his life, it must be something important. And people are very intrigued, and they think maybe this is the key to some treasure. You know, at that time there were no computers, but maybe this is the password to some, you know, multi-billion-dollar treasure. So everybody is wondering. And one journalist, so the whole story goes into like a flashback, is sort of recollecting the past through the eyes of this journalist. This journalist goes through a journey to try to figure out what does that word mean, rosebud. And he starts going back in the life of this person, Charles Kane, to see what's the relevance of this word so that he could get some clue about this. And it is shown that this person was, when he was a child, you know, he was not rich, and he was just a simple boy. He was living with his mother, and he was having a very good time. And he had a favorite snow sled that he used to play with in the snow in Chicago or some other place within the one of the northern parts of the country where there's a lot of snow, and would play there and have a very good time. And then this was the time when there was some gold that was found in California. And so his mother owned a piece of land, and gold was found in the land. So his mother gives this child in the hands of a caretaker and leaves the child and goes to California and makes a lot of money because she struck gold. And the child is living here with the caretaker, and his whole life takes a completely different turn, and he is not very happy, and he develops a very sour relationship with this caretaker and leads a, you know, his life is not as happy, it's very miserable. Anyway, going forward, what happens is the mother dies. He inherits all the property or all the money from her mother and becomes a very rich person, makes more progress, uh, you know, owns a large bank, ends up marrying the niece or the daughter of the president of the United States, something like that, and basically becomes a very, very important, very rich man in the country. And then I'll shorten the story, and then, you know, then it comes to his time when he dies. And this journalist is trying to go through his life, and he still cannot figure out what does rosebud mean. And he comes to the end of his life as he's doing his research, and he still cannot find what does rosebud mean, and he gives up. So this this phrase rosebud remains an unsolved mystery throughout the movie. And he's disappointed, but he can't figure out what it means. And he comes, to the end of his research, till the point the movie comes to the point where he dies. And then the movie comes back into the present. So he couldn't figure out, everybody's puzzled, but they have given up. And then it is shown that all the sort of the cleaners come and they are vacating the house where he used to live. And there was so much junk in his house. And they were cleaning it all up and burning all the trash that they were finding that was not useful. There were things that people were finding that were useful. They were taking it away. The trash was all getting burnt. And that's the last scene in the movie, where these cleaners are just burning up all the items that are useless and considered trash. And in the basement, when they're doing this cleanup, they find a snow sled. And they look at it, it's kind of broken, and they just throw it in the fire. And because it's trash. And then the movie scene shifts to the fire where the snow sled is burning. And the manufacturer name, like the label on the snow sled, says Rosebud. So what that means is that this snow sled, this boy, Charles, remembered that snow sled by the name Rosebud, by the manufacturer's name, whatever the name that was printed on the snow sled. And that's the name he remembered. So only the audience know that this sled, the snow sled, had the name Rosebud. Everybody in the movie doesn't know. Only the audience gets to see that. So the point that was made by the movie is that his whole life, he was apparently such a successful man, but throughout the movie, it was shown that despite all the success, he was still incomplete. He was still resentful of his not having having his childhood being taken away from him. And he was resentful of his mother. He was resentful of his caretaker, and he wanted his old childhood life back. And that is what he remembered throughout his life. And he remembered his snow sled, even though throughout his life, he was one of the most successful people from material angle in everybody else's eyes. And since that was his remembrance, or that was his consciousness throughout his life, that's what he ended up remembering at the time of death. So this is I thought it was a very powerful presentation. Of course, this movie had nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, or even the notion that what you remember throughout your life is what you will remember at the time of death. But I thought it is, at least it ended up depicting that aspect very strongly and very, very, in a very impactful way. So I thought of sharing this with all of you. And I think the invitation for all of us here is to find ourselves in the life of Charles Kane. Are we like him? Are we constantly living our lives in some kind of consciousness that is not Krishna consciousness? What is it that is occupying such a large part of our life, a large part of our consciousness? Well, a large part of our life is occupied by many things. A large part is occupied by sleeping. A large part is occupied by our work. But what is the large part that is occupying our consciousness? Some of the things we are just doing very mechanically. Maybe somebody who's an Uber driver is just mechanically driving wherever the GPS is telling him to the destination of his customer, but in his mind, what is he thinking? So it's not just the action that is externally visible, but the consciousness in the mind. What is it that is occupying our consciousness for a large part of our time? That is the consciousness which will be highly, highly influential in governing what is our consciousness at the time of death. it is a it is highly wishful thinking if one thinks that doesn't matter how I live my life, somehow or the other at the time of death I'll be able to remember Krishna. That is very, very unlikely to happen. The only way to make that likely is to live our life in Krishna consciousness. And then, just like Charles Kane, instead of having the consciousness of rosebud, let us have the consciousness of Krishna throughout our life. And then Krishna guarantees that at the end of one's life, he will make sure that somehow or the other we will be able to remember him. Even if we are unable to remember him, he will remember us. So that is the call to action, to remember Krishna at the time of death, and therefore to be able to do that, to remember Krishna throughout our life. And how to remember Krishna throughout our life is by constantly and incessantly, like Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here, constantly and incessantly chant the names of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. And this process should not be taken up very late in life. Wherever one is in life, one should take it up. But if one is in a good health, in a healthy stage, in a young age of life, one should not wait for too long. I selected some verses to show. So this is a verse by Prahlad Maharaj. When he is instructing, the chapter title is, this is Prahlad Maharaj instructs his demoniac schoolmates. So the teachers in the school are teaching all the materialistic things to the children, to all the demon children, the children of the demons. One of them is Prahlad Maharaj. Even though he is in a demoniac family, he is a perfect and purest devotee of Lord. So he is instructing the children on the sort of the counter, he's providing counter education to his classmates. And there he says, Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood. Here it is said, Kaumara acharet pragyo. Kaumara, as you all know, is the tender age of childhood. This is the Kaumara age. So from the tender age of childhood to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. So this process of devotional service should be practiced from as early in life as possible. And definitely one should not wait to get older, or that I'll do it older, because one doesn't know what will happen, how much life we have left, and what will be the state of our body. This is another verse, 4 more verses later in the same chapter. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, therefore, while in material existence, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and not embarrassed by dwindling. Shariram Paurusham Yavan. So Shariram Paurusham Yavan. That means that when the body, the human body, the Shariram Paurusham is Yavan. Yavan means or as long as the body is not na vipadetya pushkalam, is not failing, it is suitable, it is healthy and strong. So this is the instruction of Prahlad Maharaj. There is there is another very nice verse in the Uddhav Gita, which also, this is chapter 9, canto 11, which is Uddhav Gita starts from chapter 7 of canto 11 and goes till chapter 29. So this is towards the beginning of the Uddhav Gita, where uh, Lord Krishna is instructing Sri Uddhavaji. And Lord Krishna says that after many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, the sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. So, very quickly, the word here is Turnam yateta na paded. Turnam means immediately. Turnam means immediately one should endeavor before it has fallen, na patet, and it is not subject to death. After all, the sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only in the human form of life. Is only possible for the human being. So, lot of emphasis on very quickly, as soon as possible, right now, to start our and intensify our practice of Krishna consciousness, so that at the end of our life, we will be able to remember Lord Krishna. So, I wanted to end with a few more glorious passings or glorious examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam of very glorious passings of devotees, how they departed from this world thinking of the Lord, focusing all their attention, their entire consciousness on the Lord, and leaving this world. So maybe I wanted to, at this point, maybe invite few devotees to shout out any examples that they remember from the Srimad Bhagavatam of glorious passings of devotees. Now, as I was mentioning, since more devotees have joined, I wanted to share about this book called Death by Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, who is a disciple of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. Very nice book he has written about death. A large part of what I'm talking and some of the selections of the verses, and this book contains a lot more. Very nice book. And it has a whole chapter called Glorious Passings of Devotees. It's called Glorious Departures. It's a whole section of the book is devoted to that. Something like 7 or 8 chapters are devoted to glorious departures. Very beautiful. But anyhow, do devotees want to shout out a few glorious departures that they may recall from Srimad Bhagavatam?
Prabhuji Gajendra, how he left the body holding a lotus and offering it to Vishnu.
Okay. Well, Gajendra didn't actually. Okay. Yes. Anyone else?
Ishmadev.
Wonderful. Yes, that's the foremost example of Sri Bhishma Dev, how he passed away from this world. And Lord Krishna arranged it. The beautiful part is that Lord Krishna beautifully arranged that. He sort of achieved 2 objectives when Bhishma Dev was lying in the battlefield on the bed of arrows. And he had this boon of Ichha Mrityu, of he could leave his body whenever he wanted. Even though he was badly wounded, he had not left this world yet. And here on the other side, Lord Krishna was having a very difficult conversation with Yudhishthir Maharaj, who was feeling a lot of repentance on having won this battle, but at what cost? So Lord Krishna thought that let Bhishma Dev instruct Yudhishthir Maharaj rather than me instructing him. And at the same time, in this way, he took Yudhishthir Maharaj to Bhishma Dev so that Bhishma Dev could see Lord Krishna at the end of his life. Very sweetly, very expertly, Lord Krishna achieved two objectives: to glorify Bhishma Dev through his instructions to Yudhishthir Maharaj, as well as to give his darshan, to give his to enable Bhishma Dev to see Lord Krishna at the time of death. Both of those objectives were accomplished by Lord Krishna, and it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 9, that Bhishma Dev, looking at Lord Krishna, departs this world in a very, very, very glorious way. So very, very wonderful example. And this example of Bhishma Dev is mentioned actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita during the departure of another very, very glorious devotee. That this particular devotee departed just like Bhishma Dev. Anybody remembers who that one is?
Haridas Thakur.
Yes, wonderful, Ram Prasad Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So when Haridas Thakur departs, there's a very beautiful entire chapter dedicated to the passing away of Srila Haridas Thakur in the Antya Leela. And he requests simply to be able to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and depart from this world. And in one of the verses where it is mentioned that he actually departs, the next verse, I think, says that he departed just like Sri Bhishma Dev, looking at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and just departed wonderfully. So very, very glorious departure. They welcomed death and were able to easily transition into the next sort of phase after death in a very nice way. They welcomed death just like the kitten welcomes the catching of the by the teeth of the cat. The kitten is not afraid of the cat. Any other examples from?
Prabhuji Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes, wonderful. Parikshit Maharaj is another very, very wonderful example. And who mentioned that? I didn't recognize the voice.
Me, Prabhuji Suki.
Oh, Suki. Okay. So yes, Parikshit Maharaj as well. He was fixed in the thoughts of Lord Krishna, and he had finished hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. He takes permission from Srila Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami takes permission to leave from Parikshit Maharaj, and he leaves, and then this serpent Takshak comes and bites Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj it's written in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's completely fixed. He's fixed like a tree, immovable like a tree, fixed in the thoughts of the Lord. And in a very, very glorious way, he also passes away. So these are some very nice examples. Any other examples of passing aways, these glorious departures?
Prabhuji, Uddhav and Akrur, I think they were.
I can't remember their passing away being described, but maybe it's there and I'm not remembering yet.
But they were constantly engaged in thinking of Lord Krishna.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So one more very glorious example of passing away in a Krishna conscious mood or in Krishna consciousness is Narad Muni in his previous life, which is also described in the first canto, that how he was first earlier in his life, he saw the vision, or he got the darshan of Lord Narayana when he was meditating. And then afterwards, he heard the voice of Lord Narayana saying that you will not see me again in this life, but you will constantly be able to be with me in your next life. as my divine associate. So he spends the rest of that life hearing and chanting the names of the Lord. And in that way, he says, when he was describing this to Vyasadeva, that he spent the rest of his life simply hearing and remembering the Lord, and he passed away in Krishna consciousness. So that's another wonderful example. And there are a few more examples, very glorious departures that are mentioned. One of the ones maybe a little is very, very glorious is the departure of Vritrasura. He's actually a demon, and this is mentioned in the 6th canto. And he's fighting Indra. So he's from the demoniac family, but he's a pure devotee of the Lord. And he Lord in or not Lord Indra, but the Devata, the demigod Indra is fighting Vritrasura, and Vritrasura is simply engaged in remembering the Lord, and he is also doing his duty of fighting. And he wants to be killed by Indra so that he can continue to remember the Lord and get and attain death while he is remembering the Lord. And even Indra appreciates him, that you are such a pure devotee of the Lord. Why should I fight you? But Vritrasura says, no, we both have to do our duty. And in this way, there's a very beautiful conversation between them. And there is fighting as well as a matter of duty. And in this way, long story short, Indra kills Vritrasura. But the whole chapter, this is in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read, his consciousness, Vritrasura's consciousness is completely fixed on Lord Narayana, and he leaves, he gets killed thinking or being in the consciousness of or remembrance of Lord Narayana. So these are some examples. There's of course the example of Dhruva Maharaj, how he welcomed death, and his departure was described in little more detail, how an aeroplane descends from the spiritual world, and he goes on that aeroplane, he circumambulates that, he pays obeisances to it, and then ascends that, even requests that his mother also come with him. So she also comes in a separate airplane, and he ascends to the spiritual world. So that whole aspect is described in more detail of how he passes from this world. Very similar to also a similar description is given in the passing of Ajamila. So he was a very nice devoted Brahmin. Then he fell down, and then he again, when he took the name of his son Narayana, the Vishnu Dutas come rescue him. He learns his lesson and goes to Haridwar, leads a very, very devoted life, always thinking of the Lord. And in that way, when the time for him comes to depart this world, the same Vishnu Dutas come who had come to rescue him, and he recognizes them, and he is also taken away by the Vishnu Dutas in a very glorious way to the spiritual world. So these are all some very wonderful examples of passing away given in the scriptures, and there are many more. These are some of them which are also mentioned in this book, and so I thought I'll share some of these aspects or some of these descriptions with you. And finally, I would like to end with a very, very wonderful departure that I have seen, not with my own eyes, as in like face to face, but on screen, on video. A very, very Krishna conscious departure. And that is the departure of none other than our dearmost founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. How he was completely in Krishna conscious. That whole footage of the departure of Srila Prabhupada has been recorded by his devotees for our benefit, and you can also watch it. Very clearly we can see how Srila Prabhupada was remembering Krishna, and in his last breath he utters the word Krishna, and departs from this world. So we all know Srila Prabhupada's entire life was completely spent in Krishna consciousness. Not one moment was he not doing something for Krishna. Either he was chanting Krishna's name, either he was hearing Krishna's name, he was speaking to others about Krishna, he was worrying about Krishna. He had so many tribulations, so many things to keep him awake at night. All of those things were to, in some way or the other, to please Krishna, whether it is building a temple for Krishna in Juhu, Bombay, or in Vrindavan, or it is about distributing back to Godhead magazines to Krishna, to devote to people, to instruct them about Krishna, or it is about getting a ticket or finding a place to stay in New York, in the Boweries of New York, so that he can continue to preach Krishna consciousness. He went through so much, and every moment of his life, in some way or the other, was simply a pursuit to somehow please Krishna. So, because he spent his life in that way, absorbed in complete Krishna consciousness, he was able to remember Krishna so wonderfully at the time of his death. And all the great, all the devotees in Vrindavan who were not even affiliated with ISKCON, all of them had great respect for Srila Prabhupada, and they all came and wonderfully glorified Srila Prabhupada upon his departure. So Srila Prabhupada was dear to everyone, and he even demonstrated and instructed us on how to leave the world through personal example. So this is the glory, and this is the nature of our wonderful founder Acharya, our Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada. So he kept instructing us till the very last moment. So with that, I will end here. And yeah, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any comments or corrections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just want to thank you for taking such a relevant topic and explaining it so well. It was really good. Thank you so much again. I know most of us fear death, and this is such a nice realization to have. Yeah, thank you so much again, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
I would like to say just 3 words, Prabhu. I mean, at the end of everything, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Perfect note to end. So we can end here. It's 12:31. I think Aarti.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity to say something on this topic.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we can live a life consistent with that instruction. So if anybody else has questions, go ahead. But Narottam Vilas Prabhu, you'll show the Aarti from, is Mayapur TV active, or our link? Parama Karuna Prabhu Das Ki Jai.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, I'm just bring that up, Prabhu.
Okay. And then don't forget, please, that tonight we have the lecture with on the same topic, prayers of
I think Prabhuji's audio is breaking up, or is it just me who's...
It's who's breaking up too.
Yeah, I didn't hear you either.
Sunny, maybe we can start the Kirtan.
Sure, Prabhuji. Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Thank you very much, Sanvi. Tulsi, do you know who's going to sing Narsinga Arati? Prayers?
No, Prabhu, no one signed up today, so I'm not sure.
Would you like to, are you able to chant then?
Just give me 1 minute, Prabhu.
Sure. Thank you. Also, while Tulsi's getting ready, just want to send everybody a reminder that there's supposed to be a 3-week gap between any one person and any family repeating kirtan service. That's to give others a chance as well. So please don't, if it means like, for example, a father and a daughter saying on 2 separate weeks, each family unit counts as one. So please go through that schedule and don't adjust so that your family member is not chanting more than once every 3 weeks. Okay? Because we want to give everyone opportunity. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Tulsi, are you ready?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste
सर्वविघ्न विनाशन लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय, भक्त शरण में प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Thank you, Tulsi, for chanting Nrsimhadev prayers. So please join us tonight for the session with His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. It will be about the relationship of devotees with Lord Krishna in the mood of separation. So that'll be at 6 p.m. Please join on time so Prabhuji doesn't have to wait for us.